Hi there, I'm Joseph, your professor. Welcome to Philosophy 20B, History of Western Philosophy, Renaissance to Present. So yeah, this is the modern philosophy class. What I'm going to do is just walk you through the class as if it was your first day and run through the syllabus and, just to help you figure out whether you want to be in this class or not. So if you log into our Canvas, which I'll make accessible before you even get this video, it'll say the very first thing to do is watch this video, and I'll put this link to it. But generally, this is a 6-week class, so I cover everything I would in one semester in 6 weeks. I don't cut anything out, so it's the same content, pretty much, just jammed in. So that's one thing, but then again, that's also the benefit. If you're under a time crunch and you just want to crank out a class in the summer and you like philosophy, this is going to be an awesome one. So here we go. Section 10235, online class. I'm your professor, Joseph Komrosky. A little bit about myself. I've been studying philosophy for over 20 years. I have a master's in philosophy, and I'm currently working through my dissertation in my PhD in philosophy at Claremont Graduate University in Claremont. So I'm at the tail end of securing my PhD. Love philosophy. I taught 5 years as an adjunct at Mount SAC, and now I'm full-time for about a year now. And I also teach at Cal State San Marcos, critical thinking there. But in short, that's me. And before I did, the whole time I'm studying philosophy, I worked in a field called nuclear medicine for about 20 years. I was a nuclear medicine tech and an X-ray tech, and I did PET CT scans. So I love science as well, but philosophy was my passion, and that's kind of why I've pursued a PhD, and I'm teaching you. So anyways, best way to get a hold of me is joseph.komrosky@mountsac.edu or through Canvas email. I'll respond to you within 24 hours. Usually that's the most optimal scenario. Virtually, I'll be ready for your to answer questions 12 to 1 pretty much Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday, 12 to 1. That's when I'm really logging on, checking out everything. If you email me outside of those hours, that's usually when I'm in a 24-hour range to respond back to you. I put my office phone and building and all that, but since we're online, that really doesn't matter. If you need help with this class, if you're new to Canvas, call this number and give them this code number for this. This is the class online. That's the exact number. And what they'll do is they'll dial into your class and help you through everything, through your modules, grades, whatever. So they can see it as you would. Or you can call Mount SAC Canvas, but they're usually pretty busy. So I would call this one. That's the general Canvas hotline. So anyways, here we are, modern philosophy. What is it? Why is it important? Like, so what? Like, what am I doing here? Well, I'm going to cover major Western philosophers and philosophical ideas from pre-modern to modern times. And, like the title says, what's that? Renaissance to present. We're going to be discussing some major ideas in this class. And even if I don't bring them up directly, you will see them in the text. Here's some various questions that you might want to know more about. What is truth? And is pursuing the truth worth it? What benefit is there to asking critical questions about reality? Like, why do all this? Like, why think deeply about reality? Why pursue the truth? What is the Socratic method? What significance does the Renaissance through the modern philosophers have on my life now? You might think, these people, they were famous, they're dead now, who cares? One of the wonderful discoveries that I've had, and you may have had through philosophy, is it's fascinating because, let's say, even though Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, from the ancients, or even Kant, Descartes, Hume, even though they're dead, and they've been dead for a long time, some like hundreds and hundreds of years, like, who cares? Well, they have very powerful philosophical ideas that apply to our life now. And even if somebody rejected their ideas, you would have to stand on their backs to be able to reject them. So they've definitely contributed. And we'll get to that in a minute. Contributed. Like, why do I bring that word in? Because you will be contributing in this class. So how do you know that you know something? Like, how do you know that you know versus having just a belief about something? So what's the difference between belief and knowledge? Or what's the difference between opinion and belief? And how could you know that you actually know something versus have a belief versus an opinion? See how many distinctions I just threw at you? Well, it tends to be, or these are huge distinctions in a field called epistemology. Inside philosophy, you have major fields: metaphysics, epistemology, logic, aesthetics. So metaphysics deals with reality. What is reality? Epistemology deals with knowledge. How can I know things about reality? Two completely different fields, even though they overlap. Logic and critical thinking. Ethics, another huge field in philosophy, or branch, sorry. Aesthetics deals with art. We're not talking about aesthetics like where people go to school and learn about being beauticians, like cutting hair, doing nails, and all that kind of stuff. It's even deeper than that. In the ancient world, the Greeks had a very powerful phrase. They were in search of the good, the true, and the beautiful. Those three words could summarize all that they've done in philosophy. In search of the good, ethics would help you understand what good is: good, bad, wrong, or right. That's a branch of philosophy, right? The true, this is epistemology and metaphysics. How do you know things about reality and what is reality and all that kind of stuff? And then the beautiful. Some of you might be thinking like, yeah, man, I'm a guy. I don't use the word beautiful. Well, you're implying it. When somebody says, what do you think of that, bro? You're like, dude, that's cool. You've just said that's beautiful, but not used the word. You've said cool, or that's gnarly, bro, or that's rad. You can think of a bunch of different words, right? The deeper thing you're getting at is something about reality is aesthetically pleasing to your eyes. Like you like it, like you dig it, right? That's aesthetics. But it's different than going to a beauty school. So, for example, some of you are like, yeah, I'm not into beauty. Yeah, you are. When you go to a concert or a rave, or when you go traveling to Hawaii or some other parts of the world, or when you go to a movie, or when you watch YouTube videos at home and you're like, yeah, dude, all of that is searching for beauty. You're being pleased in different ways. Isn't that fascinating? So little did you know, all of that, all of us do on a day-to-day basis. We might not realize how deep it is. And so then, what are beautiful things? What are ugly things? So some of this might trickle out. Some of these questions might trickle out through the readings that you're going to have in this class. And we'll go on. What's the difference between knowledge, belief, and skepticism? Skepticism, like, I'm not sure we can know anything about anything. Or maybe I can know something about mathematics, but I don't know if I can know anything about God or something like that. That would be skepticism, or different variations of it. What's the difference between rationalism, empiricism, and idealism? I'll save that for the class. What is virtue, and how could you obtain this to make your life better? My dissertation is in virtue ethics. So one of the main themes that I'll weave throughout this class is virtue. It's an excellence of character. Why does that matter? Because I think that you won't be flourishing in life. You won't have, you won't be happy in an objective sense of the word unless you're seeking virtue and avoiding vice. But I'll leave that there for now. And so I believe that if you want to know more about reality, you will act as a better citizen. You'll be able to contribute more as a citizen to society if you know more about yourself and reality, and thus you'll be achieving virtue, which will make your character better. What is reality, and does the existence of God play a part in how I see reality? What am I made of as a human person? Will any of these philosophical perspectives of rationalism, empiricism, German idealism, Marxism, existentialism, American intellect, philosophy, will they play a role in your life and how you see reality? I most certainly think they will. Some of you will reject some of these movements. Some of you will be so awe-inspired by them, you'll be like, wow, you know? And that's what philosophy does. Let's go back to the basics. Philosophy is philosophia, the love of wisdom. What's wisdom? I can get into this in more detail later, but it's connecting the dots of things that you see as true in reality. You might know a lot about art, or you might know a lot about mathematics, or you might know a lot about chemistry, but how about connecting all of them together? How about connecting the dots and seeing the grand scheme of things when you add up all these things and your religious points of view, and, you know, how does all this add together and make me a better person? And how do I operate better in reality? So that's wisdom in a sense. And that's what we're searching for when we do philosophy. Now, when we roll with this class in modern philosophy, we're going to see wisdom from the eyes of certain people versus other people. For example, we're not doing ancient and medieval, and this isn't an ethics class, but a lot of these movements have contributed to ancient philosophers in the past, and this is where we are now. So I believe that some of the things that you learn in this class they'll be mind-blowing to you. They'll definitely apply to your life. And you might have already thought this way, but never knew that there was a philosophical movement that had a name to it, that you have been thinking similarly like them the whole time, you know? So we'll be pursuing these questions and many more through the eyes of the Renaissance, through the modern philosophers. That's the bottom line. So when you come to this Canvas course, this very first page, this is your syllabus. So when somebody says, hey man, where's the syllabus? It's right here. It's the first page all the way down. If you scroll all the way down, you will see that the actual course, like what you'll be doing, is down at the bottom. And I'll get to that in a minute, okay? But this whole page is your syllabus. So anything I don't cover in this video, you can just simply read it. So let's look at this. These are just online resources. If you're new to being online, you can look at those. They're not necessary. Required texts. You must get Mercante, sorry, I pronounce it every time. Melkert and Morrow, A Great Conversation. Historical Introduction to Philosophy. You must get the 8th edition. Or, are you kidding me? The 8th edition. So this is what it looks like. I give you a picture. It says 8th edition, right? It's like a greenish cover. You can't get the 7th or the 6th edition. You will be missing chapters. You must get this edition, okay? I have a copy of this book in the library on reserve. So just in case you don't have any money and you want to, get the book for cheaper, you could get that book, rent it, and make a copy of it, like you PDF scanning. They have a huge PDF scanner in the library. You could do that if you want. You can buy it through Mount Sac, or you can go to like Red Shelf or Vital Source, and I believe you can rent the book for 180 days for like $52. It's not bad, actually, okay? Me, I have you're not even going to believe this. I have all the books that I've ever bought when I was at Mount Sac many years ago. And by the way, I didn't tell you this. I was a student at Mount Sac from 94 to 99. I went there and got my X-ray license. I was there for 5 years. I have every single book I had at Mount Sac sitting in my house. Now, some of you might be like, really, dude? Yep, I collect all the books I can. And I use them. I go through them. So me, personally, I wouldn't rent a book. I'd buy it. But, we're in the digital age, and some of you might, be super, super used to renting and all that kind of stuff. Okay, whatever you want to do. Here's some resources. You can rent it for about $50. Get it at Mount Sac. Get it online, however you want to. I do not provide the book to you. I cannot do this, or it'd be a copyright violation. So this is the book. And just to let you know, I chose it because I think it's a really awesome book. The way this author breaks down segments, oh, I love it. So you'll start with 16, and he will transition from the medieval period to the modern, and that will be a whole chapter. Pretty cool stuff right there. Chapter 17, Rene Descartes. I know some of you are thinking Descartes. Nope, Rene Descartes. The S is silent. And then 18, Hobbes, Locke, and Berkeley. We're going to be discussing materialism and the beginnings of empiricism. What's materialism, you ask? Well, it's a view that all of reality is made of material things. And if it's not made of material things, it doesn't exist. Ooh. Okay. And then David Hume, unmasking, he's an empiricist. And then anyways, on and on. I'm just showing you kind of how the book is laid out. And, actually, while I do this, let's do this. Let's go to Descartes. No, let's go to the very first chapter. So one of the reasons I like this book is at the very end of each chapter, sorry, I'm scrolling, so if this bothers your eyes, just bear with me. At the very end of each chapter, I recommend you do this, is see what the key words are. You don't have to do these exercises, but it gives you key words, right? We're going to be discussing Virgil. He's a poet. Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King, by the way, Martin Luther. Martin Luther King gets his name from Martin Luther. Find out what Martin Luther did. He basically split the Catholic Church and started the Protestant Christian movement. Huge influential figure. If anybody wondered where non-denominational churches come from, or Presbyterian or Lutheran or Baptist and all that, they all started from this guy right here, because he broke away from the Catholic Church. So you want to know, like, what ideas does he have to contribute to philosophy, like wisdom, right? Erasmus, Montaigne, Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo, like scientists, like, whoa, like what did they contribute to reality? Well, I'd say they looked at the cosmos and said, hey, here's what I think about it. And they revolutionized what we thought until we came to them from Aristotle. And then once we got to them, what changed? Like, does everything revolve around the earth, or does everything revolve around the sun? That's just for starters what happened, which is huge. And then the Jesuits. So anyways, a lot of keywords. Maybe look at these and say, okay, maybe some of these people you know about, maybe some you don't, but these will all be covered, okay? So now we're getting out of the book. We're going back to here. So that's a book. How I do your homework. So 40% of your grade is your weekly quizzes. Literally, it's a huge part of your grade. And I dropped the 2 lowest quizzes. So for every chapter, you will have a 10-question quiz. This is very important now. Each quiz may consist of 30 possible questions. The Canvas will randomly pull 10 of them out at a time and say, here's 10. You got 45 minutes, right? You can take this quiz 3 times. It takes the best score out of the 3 attempts that you have. Here's the caveat. Each time you take the quiz, it might pull 10 completely different questions out, or it might pull a few the same. Who knows? It's a random generator. It prevents cheating, but at the same time, it also gives you 3 attempts, okay? So I try to go through the database of like 30-something questions and pull out the ones that I think are really significant, try to bring it down to 20, 25. But bottom line, 40% of your grade. You have weekly discussions. I'll ask you 2 questions, 2 or 3, and say, hey, and they might come from different authors throughout that week. Let's say, what do you think? And you're going to give me a question, or you're going to give me an answer. It's about 3 to 4 sentences long for each question. And then one question might be like, what did you think about these 2 questions? And what I'm doing now is I'm getting you to think for your own. Like, I'm getting you to think for yourself. You might think Hume's crazy. Somebody else might think Hume's brilliant. I got to weigh in, man. Out of these 2 questions, I only want you to choose one and tell me what you think about it. This is practicing the skill of critical thinking now when you are trying to contribute your own ideas to what they've said. Maybe could you add something to make their view better? Maybe do you think, no, this is horrible. I think this other guy's view or this other lady's view is better. Whatever. First paper, 15% of your grade. Final paper, 25% of your grade. Again, I'll drop your 2 lowest quizzes. Your final paper is your final exam. In other words, you do not have a separate final exam. It is your final paper. That's it. You write 1 paper. It counts as your final exam. And I'll get to that in a minute. But what I do is I choose you kind of make up your final exam in a sense, because inside your final paper, I tell you, choose 2 philosophers who you disagree with and 2 who you agree with, and write about all 4 of them. Give me 2 quotes for each philosopher. So you're kind of picking throughout the semester 2 people you disagree with, or a part of their view you disagree with, and 2 others who you totally love. And that way you're kind of constructing your own final exam in a sense, and in another sense, you're having to do what I'm telling you to do. You got to write a paper about them, okay? So that's pretty much summing up the grade point, the value, and how I break it down. Everything's going to be uploaded into Canvas. That's it. We're online. That's how we do it. What I do is I look at your grade at the end of the semester, and I look at this kind of scale where it's broken down like A minus, B plus, whatever, and I see where you fall in here. And then if you were to do extra credit, and here's a video that you can look at. And by the way, the video on extra credit walks you through exactly what to do. But for example, one extra credit is called the Hipster Challenge. You have to watch 2 movies and write 2 pages per each movie. So for example, movie 1, After the Dark, movie 2, Pi, movie 3, The Man Who Knew Infinity, movie 4, Whiplash. These are all mind-blowing movies, all of them, right? You're going to pick 2 and write 2 pages for each one. Each one has a form that goes with it. And by the way, to access any of these forms, hit the down button and hit preview. And it simply shows you right there. Without having to download it, you just hit preview, right? It will upload the actual file. My computer takes a while, so I'm not going to wait for it. You can minimize. And what I do is I add to your final grade. So if you do an extra credit, I tell you right here, I will bump you 2 notches on the initial grading scale. 2 notches, right? So let's say you had a B right here, right? And you did an extra credit, a full extra credit, I bump you up 2 notches. So you go 1, 2, and you have an A minus, which is an A. So you might say, I use this scale to figure out where you are if you choose to do extra credit. If not, you just get your grade here, and ultimately it's this. So I only give A's, B's, C's, D's, and F's. There is no pluses, minuses. It's straight up A, B, C, D, or F, right? But how you will get to this final scale is you will start here, and if you do extra credit, I'll bump you up 2. Okay? But you can look at my video on that, or you can email me, ask me more questions. It's all in there. One other option is the Scholar. If you don't like movies, you can read a book. And I believe, I don't know. I might have this in the library. I actually might have it there. You can check. And I think you can rent it for 2 hours. You could read this whole book in like 4 hours. It's a small book, but it's mind-blowing. You can read about it. The social challenges, you have to go to a conference or debate, but you have to run it by me. If you do some YouTube debate or something like that, you have to ask me, can I do this? If you do not ask me, it will not count, because I have to find out, is it long enough? Is it philosophical enough? But here's the bottom line with the extra credit. You can only pick 1 of these options, only 1. In other words, you cannot do 2 or 3. So if you do the social challenge, you cannot do these other ones. If you read the book, you cannot do these other ones. So you'll find out later in the semester. Student learning outcomes and course objectives. Well, I wrote these myself last week, and we put these on the website. So here's the bottom line with the whole course. Once you're done with this course, what I'm going to be expecting of you is this. Number 1, you're going to be able to analyze major philosophers from the Renaissance to the contemporary period. 2, students will be able to analyze philosophical systems of thought from the Renaissance to the contemporary period. Okay. 3, students will be able to synthesize philosophical perspectives in relation to their own lived experience, in which they apply this obtained knowledge, skills, and virtue to their own lives. So the bottom line is, this class is also practical. You're going to learn about these perspectives, and you're going to see, how do I apply this knowledge and this skill set? How do I get virtue from this? How do I live a better life by knowing about some of these people, or all of them, and how they play a role in my life? And last, students will be able to write philosophical essays. You got 2 of them, right, for my class, which reveal improved skill in presentation and evaluation of arguments, where the student clearly and effectively present their own philosophical position. Okay? The bottom line is, and I'll go back to the book, and I mentioned this earlier, this book's called The Great Conversation. There's been a conversation going on for centuries about reality, right? It started from the pre-Socratics or the ancients, right? And people have been adding to ideas all the way up until now. Well, you're going to be one of those people adding to this great conversation of these philosophical ideas, because you're going to be practicing doing this every week with your discussion questions and finally your papers that you write for me. And I'm going to be training you how to do that, okay? And I have videos on how to write your paper, the first one and the last one. So I walk you through it, right? It's a very structured paper. And the bottom line with the discussion questions, during the week, or at least there's one question there, I want to know what you think. That's the ultimate goal of the class, is I want you to practice what you think about reality on your own. I don't want you to latch on to my view or somebody else's view and say something like, well, geez, if Joseph thinks this is cool, I think it's cool too. No. I want you to do the research, and I want you to struggle through these ideas, and some of them are difficult, some of them aren't, for yourselves, so that you can say, yeah, man, I thought about that. I think it's cool, or yeah, I don't like it. And that's the purpose of this. We all have opinions. We all have arguments. But do we make them in a good way? Well, that's the bottom line. And how will you contribute to this great conversation? How will you do it? One of the things that I'll reveal later in the class, I'm trying to get published right now on near-death experiences. I've written a paper. I went to a conference and presented it. If I get published in this peer-reviewed journal, this will be my contribution to modern philosophy, landing on a metaphysical issue that deals with reality. Can consciousness exist outside of a dead body? And if so, what does that mean for immortality and life after death kind of thing? That's my contribution, at least in one of my papers. And so that's something I've struggled through personally for over 6 years. The paper that I'm trying to get published, I've worked on this over and over in different kind of drafts. And now it's finally being reviewed by a publisher. We'll see if I make it. I'll let you know. But that's something that I was fascinated in. What will you be fascinated in? So we'll come down now. And some of this stuff I won't go over. You can simply read it. Measurable objectives, you can read that. Drop and add deadlines. Class starts on the 22nd. On the 23rd, on Wednesday, if you have not completed these two things, the syllabus quiz and the getting to know you discussion board, I'll drop you from the class. That just lets me know that you've checked in. And by the way, these are ridiculously easy. The syllabus quiz is 10 questions. If you review my syllabus, you'll be able to answer them just like that. And I think you could retake the thing 3 times. Getting to know you, I ask you about yourself, and I tell you to upload a picture on what's your favorite place to relax in. Real easy, right? And by the way, if it says relaxing on campus, we're online, so relaxing anywhere, okay? So these are super easy to do. You have to do them by the 3rd day of class. You absolutely have to, or you'll be dropped, okay? It's a big deal for me. The last day to add my class is the 24th, and blah, blah, blah. The end is August 2nd. You can view all this here. Late work, I do not accept late work. In other words, I accept assignments early, but not late. Any questions about that? Let me know. Class attendance policy, none of that counts for you because you're online. This counts for you. So once again, all I want is you got to complete syllabus quiz, getting to know you. If you miss 4 consecutive assignments, literally 4 things in a row in the first couple weeks, if I can drop you, I will, or it's basically up to you to drop yourself. But because some people have life struggles, but it's not my responsibility to drop you other than the first 2 days. Outside of that, it's up to you, but I reserve the right. I can drop you for non-attendance. All I'm saying is I can do this. I may let you stay in and fail out. Some of you might have difficulty and you still don't want to drop the class because you need the financial aid. I'm not judging. That's all up to you. So I reserve the right to drop you if you miss 4 assignments in a row in the first couple weeks. Other than that, you're in for the class, okay? Academic honesty, don't cheat. Plagiarism. Don't copy somebody else's paper or ideas into your own paper and, as if it's your own. It's not your own, it's somebody else's. If you do this, I will know. Canvas has a plagiarism checker. It will literally tell me exactly where you got your article from. If you've copied it from an internet website, it will literally give me the website address. I can click it and see it, and it will highlight what you've taken from it. Also, if you borrow from another student's paper, say, dude, I really need help in this class. Do you got a paper about Kant or Hume that I could borrow? Yeah. If you uploaded that into Canvas as if your own, it will literally tell me the student's name, who you got it from. Don't do it. Every semester I get somebody who tries to plagiarize. Just don't do it, because it's so embarrassing when I have to show you, okay? Just do the work on your own. You have something good to contribute to the great ideas of philosophy. I know you do. Even if it's a struggle for you, you will appreciate this way more in life if you simply took the time to struggle through your own ideas rather than copying somebody else's. Just totally cheap. It does nothing for virtue of your character, okay? See, I'm coming back to that theme. Developing virtue. So don't cheat, don't plagiarize. If you do, the paper's an automatic fail. Okay? And I don't have to figure out if you plagiarized. Canvas tells me if you did. Classroom behavior, we're not in classroom. Do whatever you want online. In the privacy of your own home or library, it's online. Disability accommodations, if you need any, let me know. I'm a disabled veteran. I almost died jumping out of planes as an Army Ranger. I know what it's like. So let me know. Reach out to me. Library resources. The Writing Center. If any of you, if English is a second language and you struggle with writing, no problem. The Writing Center is for you. Get a hold of these people. Send them your paper. Say, I don't know what's going on. They will help you for free. If grammar, you struggle with grammar and you really don't know how to write good papers because you have grammatical errors all over the place, no problem. Submit your paper to the Writing Center. If they help you with your grammar and you can prove to me that you weren't to the Writing Center, usually they'll give you a signed copy saying you've been there. If you submit that with your paper, I will not grade you on grammar because I know you went there and you got help. That's the benefit of using them. You use the Writing Center, I don't look at your grammar at all. I assume they already did. So again, if English is your second language, these are your people. Got to use them, and they're for free. I use the Writing Center at my PhD level when I'm writing my papers. You better believe it. I submit it to the Writing Center. I'm like, hey, anything I missed? And people tell me. Or I'll submit it to other buddies of mine that are professors as well, Bottom line with this is sometimes you could look at a paper that you've written and you might think it's profound in your own eyes, in your own mind. You're thinking, this thing is awesome. And you might have a grammatical error in the first paragraph that you can't see. You share it with your friends. They say, oh, you have a typo. And you're like, what? And they see it in a millisecond. Isn't that profound? You can't see your own errors sometimes with your own eyeballs, but somebody else could see it in less than a second. Again, that's a resource for you if you struggle or if you just want more help writing papers. And we're coming to the close almost of the course calendar. What I do is I make this easy for you. I literally tell you in week 1 out of, 6 weeks here, exactly what you're doing. Week 1, you will literally read 70 pages. Week 2, you'll read 92 pages. Week 3, 48. Week 3 is less than the other weeks because you have a paper due that week. So I lessen the reading and I give you less chapters. So basically, I think you have like 400 pages for the entire 6 weeks, and I break those down into 6 weeks. So week 1, what do? That syllabus quiz, that getting to know you. They're both due, I tell you, by midnight Tuesday, or I drop you from the class Wednesday. So you got to do those 2 things. They're super easy. Do them. The getting to know you is also fun because everybody gets to see the pictures you upload, and they get to know a little bit about yourself, and you get to comment on at least one other person's post. So it's kind of all of us getting together as a little mini community inside this class. Like, hey, dude, I surf at Cardiff too. Or, dude, I've seen that movie. Or, hey, man, I'm a biology major as well. Things like that. You'll get connections in there. And then chapter 16, you got to read it, 20 pages. Chapter 17, read it, 44 pages. Each of them quiz. Every single week is the same kind of format. All quizzes are due, except for this first syllabus quiz. That's the only exception. All the chapter quizzes are all due by Thursday. I let you pace yourself. You start Monday, 2 quizzes due Thursday. Now remember, each quiz you can take 3 times. If you ace it on the first attempt, you're done, right? If you take them 3 times, it takes your best score out of all 3. Okay? They're all due Thursday. First, great conversation, weekly discussion. These will always be due Sunday night. Again, you'll always have 2 questions, at least one from each chapter. And you will have another question, and I'm asking you, what do you think about one of those 2 questions? You'll see it on there. And then you'll have another question where you have to respond, or another assignment where you have to respond to another student's post. So there's 4 things you got to do in this week of discussion. If you've read these chapters, it should be pretty easy, right? So that's what you do. Week 2, there's 3 chapters. All 3 quizzes due Thursday. You might do a quiz Tuesday, another one Wednesday, another one Thursday. You might do all of them Thursday. You figure this out. This is all on you. You're college students. I leave it all up to you. Again, right after Thursday, the weekly discussion question opens up. You don't have the actual question here, but you will inside your Canvas. I'll be making them weekly, okay? Week 3, you got 2 chapters, less reading. You got to do your 2 quizzes due Thursday. Your first paper is due Saturday. I'll show that to you in a second. Again, your conversation, weekly discussion due Sunday. Week 4, on and on. You got your quizzes, discussion question. Week 5, quizzes, discussion question. Week 6, a little shorter reading on this week as well, because you got a final exam, which is your final paper. 2 quizzes due Thursday. Your weekly discussion due Friday, because this time's different. This last week is the exception since the course technically ends Saturday night. So what I do is I make your final paper due Saturday, and I make your discussion question, instead of due Sunday, it's due Friday. So I have to push it back a little bit, okay? So this is the only week where there's the exception to that week of discussion. It's due Friday. Final paper, which is your final exam. See that? This is your final exam. It's all due Saturday. Done, right? Then I give you till Monday to turn in extra credit if you want. That gives you 2 complete days to figure out whether you want to do it or not. Down at the bottom, discussion, important dates. So all your discussion posts are all due Sunday night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, right? When they're due. First paper is due Saturday, June 11th. Final paper is due Saturday, August 1st. Extra credit due Monday, August 3rd. Down here, you don't have to look at this, but if you want to, my favorite school ever and why I never went. You're thinking, what? Like I really wanted to go to the Great Book School in Thomas Aquinas. Oh, man. Anyways, it has a lot to do with why I chose this book, The Great Conversation. This is one of the greatest schools in the United States. You can only get a bachelor's of liberal arts there. But most of the people that go to this college, they go anywhere they want. Law school, medical school, they're just brilliant. And they know how to contribute to any discussion on pretty much any level. You can look at their syllabus. You can listen to my video on why I'm crying that I never went there, but I wish I did. A lot of it had to do with I wanted to do nuclear medicine as a career to make good money for my family so that I could study philosophy. What I ended up doing was buying the Great Book set. If any of you ever visit me at my office when we get back to the campus, you can see the Great Book set that I have. And it has to do with, this. And it also has to do with that Great Conversation book that I'm using. So anyways, if you just wanted to see a little bit about what I thought and why I think it's mind-blowing, and if any of you ever go here, you got to let me know. And then my favorite websites ever for philosophy. This is my go-to personally for anything and everything related to philosophy. The Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy is the starter. This is an easier site. Simply go here, type in something, let's say philosophy of language, search, boom. And inside the philosophy of language, it gives you a breakdown and all kinds of different subtopics on philosophy of language and what's going on there. Or it could be anything you want to study about. Stanford Encyclopedia's notches above. It is like the creme de la creme of philosophy encyclopedia sites. It will have up-to-date, very rigorous scholarly debates on something. So let's say we're doing philosophy of mind. Let's say, because you're going to look at this and, the computational theory of mind. Let's say some of you get into this because the last chapter 30 will be, some of this will be on philosophy of mind. You might say, how do you relate the mind and the brain to a computer, right? And you're going to get a lot of breakdown, a lot of subtopics, and this is very scholarly stuff. The reason I suggest these two sites is some of you might do research for your final paper, maybe not, or in the future you might come here and do research even outside of this class. I'm just saying it's a very valuable pair of websites. I use them. So let's go to the syllabus quiz. Let's do that first week. Real easy. 3 attempts to do it. I won't show you the questions. You can look at those on your own. Oh, sorry. The Getting to Know You discussion forum. Real easy. Why are you taking this class? Flat out. Why? What's your major? Are you in a program? If so, which one? How many years have you been at Mount SAC? What's your most and least successful learning experiences at Mount SAC so far? What's your favorite current movie series? Mine is Game of Thrones. It's over, but I love it, and I cried when it was over, but it's the greatest. What's your favorite? Post a picture and show us the most perfect scenario for you to relax in. This is the fun part. Post a response no later than Sunday, March 1st. Oh, I got to change this. Forget the March. I'll change that for you. Yours will be June, 23rd, like I said, and it'll be like a Tuesday night. So I'll change this. Also make a reply to at least one other student as well. You got to comment on something they've said that made you think, okay? That's it. You could do this in 10 minutes. Post a picture, done. Again, this is just for me to let you, for me to know that you're paying attention in the class. The modules. Week 1, a lot of this stuff you don't have to look at unless you want to learn more about how to do online in general. But here's your quiz, welcome activity. This question and answer form it's free. You don't have to do it. This is only if you want to post a question and you want the whole class to see it. If you want to ask me something, I'll respond to it. Otherwise, just email me. And then here we go. Week 1, video introduction to the class. I'll put my video here. Each week you will have Modern Philosophy Week 1 objectives and goals. You'll have essentials from your reading. You'll have your quiz, another essentials from reading. Each essentials from reading will look like, well, I'll show it to you in a second. And then the great conversation question that you have, right? So objectives and goals. I'm telling you each week, this is what you have to do in bold. And I'm telling you that once you do it, why you're doing it, and ultimately at the end for each week, because you're working toward these goals, these SLOs, these student learning objectives, So you can look at that for each week. But what's really due, flat out, are the indented ones. Quiz, conversation. These other things you don't have to look at, but if you did, they really help you. Essentials from reading. What does this do? These are kind of condensed notes for the reading of your chapter. For example, chapter 16, I'm telling you, these are very essential things that should stand out when you're reading about chapter 16. You can look at those first and then do your reading. We're not looking at them all, but they're there to help you. And then the actual quiz, and I'll get this question, so I'll answer it now. I am giving you pictures of each major contributor. So you can look right here. Virgil, Dante, this is what they look like. Some of them are cartooned, some of them are real life pictures, right? Pictures of each one. And I'm telling you, hey, to be prepared to do your quiz, you actually have to read and understand these 20 pages. And then I'm giving you videos. You do not have to watch these videos. You could simply do your reading, take the quiz, done. What I would do if I were you is watch the videos first. Dante's Inferno, Dante's Purgatory, this Latin. It's about his purgatory. Dante's Paradiso. So it's basically Inferno, Purgatory, and Paradise. Humanist, Luther, Montaigne, Copernicus, and the Scientific Evolution, Kepler, Galileo. And there, you might say there's a bunch of videos. For 1 week, it might be 2 videos. For another week, it might be 4 or 5. It all depends on who's inside your chapter and things that I want to pull out. But again, you do not have to look at these videos. I think these videos are good. I've seen them all. And you either do the reading first and struggle through it and then come to do the videos and reward yourself and be like, oh, okay, I was on the right track. Or do the videos first, then do the reading. These are just supplemental. They're there to help you, okay? So for each quiz, you'll have videos. There's all kinds of videos I can pull from online. I have handpicked these on purpose because I think they're better than other videos. So for example, chapter 17, you can do the essentials. You can look at what are the highlights of that reading. Ultimately, though, You will have to do these readings. You will have to buy this book or you will not pass the class. I promise you. There is no way you will be able to pass this class unless you actually get that book, because I'm pulling things very specific from the book. So example, last example on this, chapter 17 quiz, there's my man Descartes. I actually happen to like him for what he contributed. So there's a video on Descartes. And there's another, so there's only one video on Descartes, and that's the only thing I think you needed, really, even though I could pull more videos. Here's another one. This is a paper that I wrote using Descartes' metaphysics on near-death experiences. You don't have to look at that, but if you wanted to, you could see what I've done. And this is another good reminder. Each quiz will have the answers to them on Friday, every Friday from 6 in the morning to 12 o'clock noon. From that little window, you can get the answers to the things you missed. Only on Friday, only during that time, okay? So all your quizzes are due by Thursday. You can check your answers by Friday. If you forget, that's up to you. So again, each week has quizzes. Each week has discussion questions. The first one, for example, it might be changed by the time you get here. Yeah, so it says to be announced. So I tell you, in order to have sufficient answers for these questions, it will require at least 3 to 4 sentences for each answer. If you give me, I might say something like, what did Galileo contribute or something like that. If you give me one line or like one sentence, I'm going to take off points. You got to give me 3 or 4. You got to unpack. Because some of these questions I ask you are a little deeper, okay? So about three sentences for each one is good. 1 and 2, whatever the questions are, I'll put them up there. 3. What do you think of this main question? Pick one of them. Tell me what you think about it. Number 4, make one reply to another student on one of their answers. This reply should be more than just stating, hey, I agree. Hey, that's cool. You got to tell me why. Why do you think what they said advances the conversation forward or better? How does it apply to your life? Somebody's going to say something. You're going to say, oh, I like that. That's what I want you to comment on. Tell me why. If you say, I like that, that's cool, bro, you're losing points. Anybody could say that, right? You got to go a little deeper. This is philosophy class. These aren't YouTube videos. So in other words, you're not doing like a little quick text statement. You're giving us a little bit more. We want to know what you think. Again, you're building the muscle that's eventually going to contribute to your papers, okay? And I have a grading rubric for each one. You can simply click up here, see the rubric, and this is how I'm grading you. Did you answer the questions? Excellent, good, needs improvement, or missing? Did you reply to another student? Did you tell me what you thought? Excellent, good, needs improvement, good. You told me something, but you could have said a little bit more. Needs improvement, you didn't really answer the questions the right way, or it's missing, right? Did you respond to a classmate? Did you turn it in on time? Any one of these I'm going to click on to give you a total of 100 points. Successful students answer these with 3 to 4 sentences. You tell me what you think with 3 to 4 sentences. You make a reply to another student that's telling you why you think it's deep or moving to you. Done. That's it. That's all I want. Okay? So then we'll come down here into week 3, because week 2 is just like week 1. Week 3 we'll have a first paper. And I open that first paper in the beginning of the class. You'll know, like you can actually look at it right now. I'm giving you 2 different thesis statements to argue for. You can only pick one. Again, I have a video for that. Click that, learn all about that first paper, okay? Same thing with your final paper. When you come down here, final paper, same thing. Look at that. I got a video. I got a video discussing your entire final paper. Again, you got to choose 2 philosophers you agree with, 2 you disagree with, and you'll see what I want you to do. And again, I tell you exactly how to write the paper, and I even give you an entire rubric of how I'm going to grade you. More on that later, though, okay? So where are we in this grand scheme of things? Long story short, I've either convinced you to stay in the class or I've talked you out of it because I've showed you what I expect of you. I hope all of you stay, but the choice is now yours. You know what you have to do. You have quizzes, they're all due Thursday. You have discussion questions, they're all due Sunday. You have 2 papers, they're due Saturdays. You got 3 attempts for each quiz. And by the way, you got, I think, 15 quizzes. I dropped the 2 lowest quizzes, automatically dropped. They don't count towards your grade, okay? So if you stay in this class, this is how we roll in Joseph's class. And I think that's it. If you have any other questions, please just reach out to me. Once again, if you email me saying, hey, I can't afford the book, this and that, I can't provide you a book. So you're either going to have to check out the one in the library, start photocopying it, or rent one. And my personal opinion is if you're at college level, you can always rent a book. $50, you can afford that somehow. Get financial aid, whatever it takes for you to do that. Or they have centers at Mount SAC. You can call the operator. If you're financially challenged, you can say, hey, do they have any resources that I can use, or can somebody, is there any way I can get extra money or financial aid or grant money? That's up to you to do, but you can do that. There's a resource for you. I think one other thing I want to suggest is this. It is, nope, that was it. Okay, so, yeah, so welcome to the class. Have any questions, let me know. And I will talk to you all soon.